Yay, the kids are finally asleep.
So do you feel like...
Playing a game?
I've got a feeling a boss fight's coming up.
Ooh, I just got wrecked.
Headshot, baby.
Ooh, it's your turn to get the baby.
So are you up to the challenge?
Run, 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 run.
And we're dead.
That's when I realized I have no idea what I'm doing.
GG. Welcome back to another episode of the Gamer Parents Podcast. My name is Kevin, and I am joined by not my usual co-host today, Joanne, who is out of the country, but we're joined by Patrick from the Good Morning Guys podcast. Patrick, thank you so much for being here with me and filling in for Joanne while she's away. I really like you so much, and I'm so happy to have you on the podcast this week. How you doing?
Yeah, it's doing well. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the invite. I got some shoes to fill, so hopefully I can fill them really well.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to your guys' podcast, the Good Morning Guys, and I know your games. You always have some fun, interesting stories to tell, and it was definitely someone I wanted to be able to see come on the show, and I'm super happy that's finally happening.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, so this is the Gamer Parents Podcast. So maybe you could share a little bit about yourself in terms of a gamer and a parent, and kind of where you are.
Yeah. So I've been a gamer all my life. I kind of blame my oldest brother. He brought a Nintendo home one time, and now that was a bit like Tecmo Bowl and buying a Commando, Super Mario. I'm like, yeah, this is my life for the rest of my life kind of thing. So been a gamer since I was 5-6 years old. And then I grew up and still playing games, but then I'm also a parent now. I got a couple kids. I got a 12-year-old daughter, almost 13.
Almost a teenager.
Yes. Well, she's been a teenager for a couple of years, honest here. And then I got my son. He is 8 years old. And so we live here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've been born and raised here. And that's where I am. Yeah. And the games that I love to play, I play all types of games. I'll play the Peppa Pig game that's on Game Pass, love that game. I'll play, really hardcore stuff like Grand Theft Auto and anything in between. If it's a game, I'm probably gonna play it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's cool. I know you've been a gamer. Me, it was probably around the same age, but for me, it was basically starting Super Nintendo. I remember having the original Game Boy Color, and kind of Nintendo 64, which was probably where I really found my love for gaming. I remember playing games like Banjo-Kazooie, Zeldas. I was really big into like the Pokemon Game Boy games because I was basically like their target audience when Pokemon came to the United States. I was like 8 or 9 at the time, and playing all those, Pokemon Yellow, Red, Blue, and all those starting ones. And I mean, we've all gone through the different stages and the different generations of gaming, and I know you and I have both been around for a lot of them.
Yeah, and we're lucky, because the kids growing up nowadays, their first console is a PS4 or a PS5. We had to go through the stuff that was just rough, like the PS1 polygonal days and all that stuff,
Yeah, and it's just crazy how things have changed so much. It kind of reminded me back of the N64. I remember I had that rumble pack, right, that you had to plug into like the back of the controller, and then that's what gave controllers the ability to vibrate, right? And now you look at the PS5 today, and it does so many different types of extra things that you never dream of a controller being able to do stuff like that back then.
And that rumble pack for the 64 controller, I mean, that doubled the weight of the controller.
It did. It was huge.
And made it top heavy because was the way where you had to put it was like at the top underneath of the controller. So yeah, that was we went through some stuff, man.
Yeah, that's true. But it was so cool. The controller would vibrate on you, it was just the new thing back then, and now we're a little bit more spoiled, but it's crazy to see like how far it's gone in the last 20-30 years. So yeah. Okay, well, thanks for sharing all that. That was fun kind of talking back with you. What about the Good Morning Guys podcast that you are a co-host of and that I'm a listener of? Can you tell us a little bit about that and what someone could expect if they wanted to check you guys out?
Sure. Yeah, so the Good Morning Guys podcast is a podcast where we talk about the game of life amidst the other games we love to watch and play. That's what we say at the beginning of every podcast. And we talk about our lives. We have a weekly show where we just talk about our lives, what's been going on in our lives, whether that's in real life or in fake life, as we say. Fake life is more like movies, TV, video games, things like that. So it's usually about an hour podcast every week doing that. And then we also have other episodes that we do. So we'll drop 2 or 3 episodes a week. The other couple episodes will be maybe a spoiler cast on a video game. We'll talk about maybe E3 or the Game Awards, or we'll talk about a spoiler cast of a particular movie we watched. And the most recent one we did was the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania spoiler cast, and we talk about that. What's really nice is we have a group of 4, so if one is missing, it doesn't affect the rest of the podcast. We're going to be able to continue on. To be honest, with life, we understand that life goes on and not everyone can make the podcast every week. And I don't think this year we've had all 4 on the same episode yet this year, because just things, life happened. But we also want to talk about those things, because I feel like it's super important to get to know someone and find out what's going on in their lives, because stuff can be important, whether that's health issues, new babies, or weddings and things like that. And so we talk about that. We also have a nice community where they let us know what's going on in their lives, and we talk about that on the show, because what we want to do is we want to build a community of individuals who feel comfortable sharing their lives, because we're in a whole new environment with COVID and post-COVID, where we have all these ways of connecting digitally. And so being able to connect with more and more people on a digital front is really, really exciting. So it really keeps us going.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm kind of new to the whole online gaming community type of thing. And I mean, my kids are a bit younger than yours. My oldest is 4, and then our youngest is 2. And so really for the last 4 years, it's been a lot of dealing with infants and babies, and not really a lot of time for gaming or, connecting with other people and all of that stuff. And now that I'm kind of in that new phase with my wife as well, we're both into gaming, and, we love kind of being part of these communities like that. And I got to say, you guys have probably my favorite community out there. Like the Discord that you guys have is just a group of great people talking about gaming and life, and just even the things that people are sharing, that what's important to them and things that they're going through, and seeing how amazing that whole community is, just being there for each other.
Yeah.
Is really kind of eye-opening and shocking. It was such a cool place to find, and now that I kind of get to be a part of that in some degree as well, is really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the internet can be just toxic, and sometimes when you're just like, I don't want to be on Twitter, or I don't want to be on the internet for whatever reason, because there's just so much negativity, and it's nice to have a little spot on it where there's no negative.
Yeah, Twitter especially can be some great stuff and some not so great negative stuff.
Right.
But yeah, your guys' Discord is a really cool place to be. So if anyone's active in Discord and they want to check out their podcast, they have a great community on Discord as well.
I mean, we like it's crazy, because like I talk about meeting people on the internet, and 2 of the co-hosts are not from Cincinnati, and who I met through other podcasts on the internet, playing video games online. So it's not everyone here is in Cincinnati. We got people in Virginia, and then another co-host is actually in Brazil. He used to live in West Virginia and became a missionary and moved over to Brazil. And I actually went to go visit him last year, and I drove and I flew all the way to Brazil just to meet someone who I actually met on the internet, which is so wild to do. So it's nice that it's not just people in here; it's people in Cincinnati, people in my hometown. It's people all across the world, really.
Yeah, it's cool. I think that's equally as special as kind of what we have, where my co-host is 5 feet from me all the time. We live together. So a little bit different there, but it's kind of become our project that we get to work on together. I mean, obviously raising kids and our careers and things like that are one things, but we wanted something else to kind of work on together. And that's kind of where we started the Gamer Parents Podcast. And really, tuning into what you guys do and a couple of other podcasts is really what drove me to do this ourselves, because in a way I was kind of envious of what you guys have and the relationships and the friendships, right? I mean, you guys are like brothers now. And I thought that was so cool that what you guys have going, and kind of wanted to do something similar.
Yeah,
different but similar.
You have one, your wife who sits 5 feet from you while you're doing the podcast, while you game, and you guys Twitch stream and things like that. Like you talk about a little bit of envious. One of the things that my wife, she's not a gamer. She keeps me balanced. Like, I don't know how you're able to keep a balance of gaming when your wife also games. Like, do you guys do a lot of co-op games, or do you guys play single player games, like side by side? What does that look for you like?
We do a little bit of both. I'd say we do mostly co-op games, especially when our kids were younger. I kind of went back to gaming before her. I guess I would say I never really left gaming like she did. And I would feel a little bit guilty when I'd like go and play a game, and then I'm, got my headset on, and she has to figure out her own thing to do. And, she may want to spend time with me or something like that. So now that we get to do things together, I try to play games that we can play both together.
Yeah.
There's some games that she likes to play, that are single player, and that's kind of my time to jump into my own single player games. So we do mix it up quite a bit, but we have a few co-op games that we kind of keep going back to, that we'll play together. Mostly World of Warcraft is probably the main one that game takes a lot of time.
A never ending.
Yeah, it never ends. Never beaten it. It's been, I don't know, 15 years, never beaten it. But yeah. So I wanted to also make sure we have a chance to talk about our weeks in gaming and in life, kind of like what you guys do on your show. We do something similar here.
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and start off, and I'll just kind of share about my last week, both in life and gaming. And feel free to comment or say something in between. I'll start off with my life side of things. So as you know, and as I shared on the last week's episode, Joanne is going out of town for a couple of weeks, and we are now about halfway, no, a little more than halfway through all of that. And it's been a challenge. This was my first time being alone with the kids for more than a night, right?
Wow.
Or a few hours. And now we're talking 12 days. So I was really unsure how it was going to go. I already had in my mind, like, okay, these are the shortcuts that I'm going to take to make life a little bit easier.
I mean, you're still living, you're still breathing. So it sounds like you're doing a good job.
Yeah, it's been okay. I think I've surprised myself a little bit more, not knowing how I was going to be able to handle everything. Because let's be honest, Joanne does a lot more around here than I do. So I wasn't sure with her not being around, but it's been okay. I do have my parents who live close by, so I've been getting a lot of extra help from them.
That's good.
So that's without them, it'd be a different story for sure. So all thanks to them. But yeah, as far as getting through with frozen pizzas and TV dinners and DoorDash and just all the kind of the life hacks to make things a little bit easier. But yeah, no, we're surviving. This last week, I actually also had a work trip. And my parents had the kids for a couple of days. And then, so I went to Las Vegas for 3 days for a work trip for a conference.
Okay.
So it's basically, when I have to go to these things, it's meeting after meeting after meeting with companies that we work with. A lot of nice dinners. So basically, I'm the customer to some like big oil companies. And so they kind of somewhat like wining and dining. So that's one of the cool parts of my job is I get to go out and see these suppliers of ours, but it's also like really exhausting to me. I'm not a social person, which I know is weird because I'm on a podcast,
right?
I think I like to talk, but I want to, let's see, how do I want to say this? I want to be better at talking, right? And that's kind of one of the reasons I try to push myself and stretch myself into trying to grow into the person that I want to be. And that's kind of way I started a podcast. But still, the social environments are really draining on me. So like usually 3 days of nonstop meeting with people, it kind of takes a toll on me. So but it's been fun. It's been a fun week. I got to catch up with a lot of people that I really only see once a year. Yeah, got back and got right back into taking care of the 2 kids, basically.
Was that the longest that the kids have been away from you guys as well?
From both of us, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
How did they do while you were away?
Well, apparently they missed their mom, I probably got mentioned once or twice.
Oh,
But to be fair, that she's been gone a lot longer than I was. So
yeah.
and that's just normal. They're definitely a little more attached to her than me, but they're used to her being around all the time. So
Oh, that's got to make her though.
yeah, oh definitely. And I keep sending
Yeah.
her lots of pictures because I need her to come back. Right, I don't want her to extend her stay. I'm like, I want to make sure she misses the kids as much as possible,
Yeah.
so she gets on that plane back.
I see what you're doing there.
Yeah, exactly. And lots of video calls basically every day. So we're getting through with the use of technology. Without video calls, I don't know, it'd be a lot harder.
Yeah, what's the time difference there for you and Joanne?
I want to say it's about 13 hours. It's
Oh my
changed a little bit
gosh.
because I went to Vegas, so the time difference changed. But it's basically, yeah, when I'm going to sleep, she's waking up, and then when I'm waking up, she's going to sleep. So it's almost the other side of the world, basically. Yeah. So that does make me a little bit tough.
So how much longer? When is she coming back?
She comes back Tuesday, which will actually be right after this episode is released.
Okay.
She will pretty much be back. She's also sharing tons of pictures of what she's seeing and different foods that she's eating and all this stuff in our Discord, which has been fun. She's actually been pretty active in our Discord, probably because she's, no kids for a couple of weeks, so she's able to be online a bit more.
Yeah. What is this a family trip?
Yeah. So my wife right now, she's in Malaysia. So pretty much halfway around the world right now. She's back visiting family. That's where she grew up.
Okay.
So she hasn't been back in 7 years since she first moved to the U.S.
Oh, wow.
And she moved thinking that she was only going to be here for like a year or two for work. And then, then she met me and things changed. And, we got married and have kids. And now 7 years later, and COVID kind of messed up a lot of plans. But now she's finally able to go back. She had family come visit her here. So her brother and mom. But she gets to go back and see all of her aunts and uncles and cousins and, a lot of family members that she hasn't seen for a long time. Well overdue for her.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I'm glad she was able to do that for an extended period of time and not just a few days kind of thing.
Yeah. We were kind of like, you go, spend a couple weeks back home, visit with everybody. We got the kids. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out.
Nice.
That's it on life side of things, for me at least. In gaming, with my travel to Vegas for that conference, I kind of switched from my usual PC and PS5 gaming to Switch and mobile. So my whole set of games changed pretty drastically. I think I probably turned it up a notch on Marvel Snap this last week, just because it's my one mobile game, and I know it's the one that you do not play.
I tried, Marvel, it's anything Marvel, I really, really enjoy, but it's just the card aspect. Like now, I loved playing Midnight Suns, which is a card game, but it was like an action-oriented kind of game. But I've never been able to get into the straight up just card game.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the opposite. Like I played Hearthstone since beta, and until maybe like basically until Marvel Snap came out, I had played Hearthstone consistently, and that's kind of replaced my like card strategy game, at least on mobile. I've never, I think it's also available on Steam. I've never played it on PC, and I probably won't, just because it fills that mobile time slot for me, right? Where like, if I'm just hanging out and I want to sit down on the couch for like 10 minutes and play a couple games of Marvel Snap on my phone, then that's my go-to, right? And so just with the whole traveling, and then, if I'm hanging out in my room at the hotel or something and I want to play some of that, it's so much easier too. So I did probably get a little bit more time into that, and I've been talking about Marvel Snap pretty much every week on this episode or on this podcast since it came out.
Right.
And then also, like I mentioned, the Switch. So we got a Switch. We were very late to the Switch party. We got our Switch, I believe, in November. And this was my first traveling trip with it. So I was able to take it, right? And the fact that I could play a game like Zelda Breath of the Wild on an airplane, sitting in my seat, and that was kind of, I've never done anything like that. I think the Switch was kind of first at that. Obviously, Steam Deck probably takes it up a few notches from there, but I do not have that. Yeah. So, I'm used to just, reading a book or playing a mobile game. And I feel like most of the mobile games that don't need Wi-Fi or internet aren't very good, aren't very fun. But playing a game like Zelda Breath of the Wild, basically like the whole flight there and the whole flight back was so cool to me that I can make some progress there on that game. I even took the docking station and hooked it up to my TV in my room. So I got a little bit of time in on that, even while I was there.
There you go.
Which was cool. I can't say I've ever taken a console like that with me. So that was made it a lot easier being the Switch. But I think that's pretty much it. I mean, outside of my traveling, I've pretty much been here with the kids. I played a little bit of Call of Duty Warzone, kind of when they're going to sleep. And that's pretty much it. I'm kind of getting back into that game a little bit. I have a few other people that I like to play with, which makes it all the better for me.
So where are you now? Because I know you've been playing God of War Ragnarok on.
I had.
Give me God of War. How are you on that?
Yeah, so I don't think I've played very much of it since last week, just because everything that's been going on, and I haven't been home a whole lot. But just to kind of update you on where things are, I'm still on the same difficulty. I do know once you lower the difficulty, you cannot increase it.
Really?
But yeah, which is the number one reason that I'm still playing on that difficulty, because if I when I get to a boss that's really tough, if I lower it, I can't bring it back up. At least that's what I read.
That's a weird kind of limiter right there.
Yeah, and it is. I don't think I've ever seen one quite like that before. So if you want to beat the game on it, you got to beat the entire game on that.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, and there was another streamer that I was watching that was doing this, and I was like, hey, that sounds like fun. I really like Dark Souls games and games that are difficult and challenging. And then I kind of realized this other streamer was just a lot better gamer than I am. and he did end up beating the entire thing on that difficulty. And so I'm like, okay, I have to keep trying at least, but it's taking me a long time.
For sure.
Admittedly, I think I'm probably about 45 hours into it. I feel like I'm at least halfway through, but I'm not sure exactly as far as how many chapters there are, where I'm at on it exactly. But I'm not giving up. There's a few points where I really wanted to, where I was, I wanted to put it on Give Me Story and just beat the rest of the game pretty quickly. But I'm not, I'm trying to figure it out how to make it through the best that I can.
So how do you withhold frustration when you consistently die death after death after death, and you can't change the difficulty? Like, I feel like I'd be going through a couple controllers. I'd be having to be like, hey, hey, Mel, which is my wife. I think I need to get another TV because my controller went through my TV. Like, how do you withhold that frustration from that?
No, there's been a few moments where few curse words may have slipped out, or it's these bosses that have been taking me sometimes 2 to 3 hours just to beat one boss, and just kind of going after it. I mean, there's been a few nights where it was like, I just need to stop. I just need to take a break. I'm not really making a whole lot of progress. So let me just come back tomorrow and, progress from there. But there's been some that are pretty tough. I've also, one good thing about it is the hardest material in the game seems to be the optional bosses, or kind of some of the side stuff, like the berserkers. I don't know if
those are tough.
Some of those fights were really tough. So after banging my head against the wall on some of those for so long, there was one that I just could not beat. So I'm like, if I want to come back to this one later, I will. I'm just going to go back to the main story and keep progressing. So that's kind of what I've done. I'm focusing more on the main story stuff and less on those berserker fights, because the first few were okay and they were fun, and I was super excited when I finally beat them, and then they just kind of got more difficult from there.
And then you come across one where it's a berserker where there's two of them.
I just got to that one, and that's the one that I decided, no, I'm not doing this.
I had two at the same time. What is this?
That's not fair.
No, exactly. You are a way better man than I am. Like, whenever I play games, I'm like, give me baby mode. Like, I'm gonna enjoy the game. Like, I can only imagine the sweat that permeates from your hands as you're playing for 2 to 3 hours on the same boss. Like, I feel like my hands would be like a claw, like a carpal tunnel immediately.
Yeah, and I'm kind of used to that somewhat in World of Warcraft, with the raids that they have. When you're going up against the same boss basically weeks at a time with the same group of people, and sometimes it takes a month or two to beat like one boss. And and you're like, all right, same time next week, let's keep trying. When you meet up, and these fights sometimes take like 20 minutes just to beat, and you got to basically do everything perfectly. I'm just used to like that level of challenge, even though I don't claim to be like a good or skilled gamer. Like I guess I've just gotten so used to getting beat up all the time that like I know how to like deal with it or put up with it probably a little bit better than most. But yeah, I don't know. It's just sometimes it's sometimes it needs to be like the right level of challenge. If it's seemingly impossible, then I need to do something about it. But yeah, that's about it for my week in gaming. But what about you, Patrick? What's you can start with gaming or life, or what do you got going on?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start with life. I'll start with the Earl, as we'd say it on our podcast in real life. So my kids, like I said, are 12 and 8. And so we're getting to the point where we can kind of, leave the house, and my daughter can stay home and watch my son, and just, kind of, we would start with, we're going to go to the store, or we're going to go out to eat, or we're going to go over here, and lock the doors, don't make anything on the stove, if you want to make something, use the microwave, or here's some granola bars, or, just try not to blow the house up, kind of thing. And we also have, which is nice, we have family that is in our neighborhood. Her parents live across the street, a couple houses over.
Wow, that's nice.
On the one side of us, on the same side, is her aunt and uncle, and then 2 houses down on the other side is her brother and their 3 kids. So we have some family in the area. So if something were to come up, that we have someone that can come over immediately to help. We haven't had to have that happen yet, which is nice. So last night we had a birthday party to go to. One of my wife's cousins was turning 50. So we were like, should we get a babysitter? Should we ship them off? Or do you think it'd be enough for them to stay home? And so this would have been, we're going to be gone for 5 hours, which is the most we would have ever left them alone in the house by themselves. And so we're like, let's try it out. Let's just, stay home, make sure the doors are locked, don't make anything, just try not to, set the house on fire, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went out, and it without kids, if you've ever gone out without kids before, when you have kids, it is nice that you don't have to wrangle them around and answer all their questions and making sure they're fed and whatever, your life is focused on them. And so when they're not there, to be honest, it's all you talk about. It's like, I wonder what they're doing, or you text them, everything okay? It's one of those things where we want to make sure everything's going okay, because we're starting to get to that point where we're going to be able to be out of the house without the kids for longer periods of time.
That being able to be at that point, that's really awesome for you guys. That just seems so wild, just with ours being 2 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime we want to go out without them, it's okay. Can we find a babysitter? Or do we have family members that are available to come and watch them? While we're gone. And it just takes a lot more planning, and it's so difficult to get those moments out. Just, it's so cool that you guys are at that point now. And I know kind of like what you're saying. Yeah, taking kids out, especially at our ages, it's pretty exhausting. Like sometimes you just want to go out to eat, and then we're out there and we're like, why are we out here? Like, let's just get the food to go. Go back home.
Yeah. And we'd had that for so long, where it's just when you want to go out with the kids, I mean, you have to take, how old they are,
Mm-hmm.
grab the diaper bag, grab some snacks, make sure you have drinks and cups, and make sure you have the things that they can do. And depending on what you have, let's bring some games, just to keep them occupied for wherever you're going. Because it's like you're bringing like a couple bags. You're bringing, if that's a diaper bag or a backpack or whatever it is, you're bringing a whole bunch of stuff and getting ready, shoes, clothes, and all that stuff. And now we're just like, all right, kids, we're leaving. Get your shoes on. We're going. And it's much less planning involved the older they get. But then again, my favorite ages for our kids were 2, 3, 4 years old. As they're learning to walk, as they're learning to run, as they're learning new things. And it was one of the best. So the ages that your kids are right now, cherish those, because in 10 years, when there's a Facebook memory or whatever you have, a photo memory, and you see that back and you see videos like those, are like, man, I wish they were that little again. As tough as it was, as challenging as it was, That's my favorite ages for my kids.
Yeah, there's definitely still a lot of moments that I have with them that I'm just trying to cherish, and I do love, right? Especially the cuddling and the, all the stuff that when they get to become, 10 plus teenagers and stuff like that's never going to really happen anymore. And yeah, I'm just trying to soak it all in.
Yeah, definitely. So outside of that, nothing really else. I mean, I work for an insurance company 8 to 5, so that's pretty much my entire day. I actually go into the office 4 or 5 times a week. I'm much more productive when I'm in the office. When I'm at home, and I don't know if this, if you can see, like, I'm in my man cave right now, yeah. And right behind me is my PS5 and my Xbox. Like, this is where I work if I'm working from home, and having that distraction right there is a big distraction. So for me to remove that, I go into the office.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, and I get my gaming. So I'll transition into gaming. My gaming is at night. I after the kids go to bed is when gaming happens. Unless my wife wants to watch a show,
sure,
she wants to watch a movie, or if we want to hang out, if we have something extra that we got to do to plan, whatever it is. But I game at night and I stay up late, and so it's one of those things where it's my me time, and I want my me time. I want to be able to game, and so I stay up until 1, 2 a.m. Almost every night, even though I have to get up at 6:15, 6:30 every morning. I need to game. It's the only time I'm able to game, and my body clock has adjusted over the 30 plus years of me playing video games and staying up late. I don't need much sleep anymore.
Well, and I would probably never guess that, because you seem like you're kind of a high energy person, like you're very enthusiastic.
Well, I'm drinking a Mountain Dew right now, so that might have something to do with it.
Yeah. And me, like I get more sleep than you, and I'm always tired. So, but
I pride myself on my ability to fall asleep quickly. So, for example, my wife was out at a church event, and so it was just me and the kids. And my brother-in-law was wanting to go on a dog walk. So we both have dogs, and we're going to go, walk about a mile. That's what we do. And it was like 70 degrees, and 70 degrees in February here in Cincinnati doesn't really happen very often. So we took advantage of it. So I texted him. I was like, "Hey, heard you want to go for a dog walk. When do you want to go?" And so, when I texted him, I'm on the couch, and so I put my phone on my chest and I closed my eyes. And 2 minutes later, I feel a buzz, and it's him responding, "Let's go now." So, but then that 2 minutes, I had fallen asleep and I was dreaming. I dreamt about it like I was in Apex Legends. Like, so
one of your favorite games.
Yeah, one of my favorite games. I've been playing that for 4 years. And so and that's the way, like, as soon as I close my eyes, I'm able to fall asleep. So one thing that, me staying up late, as soon as I close my eyes, I fall asleep. I get a good sleep for 4 hours, which also is helpful for me to function the rest of the day and have some energy.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm definitely not quite that much that way. I know my wife, she'll take usually a good 1 to 2 hours before she can fall asleep, like pretty much every night. So she has a hard time with getting enough sleep, especially when we had like newborns and all that was a really hard stage, especially for her with not being able to get the sleep that she needed.
Right.
So I definitely, you could be all the way across the spectrum. I'm probably a little bit more in the middle, maybe a little bit more like you, right? I could be asleep within 5 or 10 minutes pretty easily.
Yeah. But yeah, so when I do game, I mean, the games that I've been playing this past week, Hogwarts Legacy, that game. So I am a casual Harry Potter fan. I've never read the books, but I've watched all the movies. I've watched all the movies twice. And so I knew about the world, knew about the spells, knew about the characters and things like that. But this game is, it's based 100 years before the Harry Potter series ever began. So it's based in 1899. And so there's a lot of characters. All the characters are new, so, but it's an open world Harry Potter game. Oh, I say Harry Potter, Harry Potter world, the Wizarding World kind of thing.
I guess it's why it's called Hogwarts instead of Harry Potter, right?
Yeah, yes. So Hogwarts Legacy has been my game, and they say it takes about 20 to 25 hours to beat the game, and I am 19 hours in, and I am about halfway in the game. There's so much to do in this game. I looked it up. There's 59 side quests. I think there's in the 50s, and I've done maybe 29 of them so far.
Mm-hmm.
And these side quests, they're not short. Some of them are short, but some of them are like, this is going to be 30 to 45 minutes for you to do this side quest, and it increases your level. You can get more spells. You can get coin to purchase other things and all this stuff. And it's a time suck. I'm like, I played for 4 hours a couple nights ago, and I did one main mission.
Wow.
The rest of it was just running around doing things, and every single side mission is different. Every single one. And so, which makes it interesting. It's not like, hey, collect these 3 things and come back, or collect these 3 things. It's like, hey, this is why I need you to go out and do this for me. Can you go out and do this for me? And whatever that activity is, it's not one of the other side quests what you had to do. So you come back and then talk to them, and then you can, there's no like evil or good kind of meter.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about how you respond. So I respond with an evil ways, because I am in House Slytherin.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what house you're in.
Yeah, I was, it's whatever. I think I took the online, and I was Gryffindor, and I was like, you know what, I want to try to be in House Slytherin.
Hey,
so,
yeah, you get to be somebody you're not normally.
Yeah. So I created a character, and I was like, like usually when I create a character, it's supposed to be a reflection of what I think I would look like in the character customization, limits that they have.
Uh-huh.
But I was like, this is a 5th year student at Hogwarts, that's probably a teenager. So I created my daughter instead. And
okay,
so
very cool.
I am doing the female playthrough, and I'm assuming there's really no difference between the male and female. It's just a voiceover. But I am having an absolute blast, and I don't want this game to end. But however, I need to finish it within 2 weeks, because in 2 weeks, WWE 2K23 is releasing, and that is my game. I have on my PS5, they have like the tracker of how many hours you've played in any particular game. So in my top 2 games, number 1 is Apex Legends. I put in like over 2,500 hours of that game. So that's no other game is going to be able to beat that. But number 2 is WWE 2K22. And number 3 is WWE 2K20. And so I put in so many hours in wrestling, and it's crazy because for 20 years, I never watched wrestling. And then I picked up WWE 2K20. I loved it. And so now I watch all the shows. I watch all the pay-per-views now, and I getting caught up about what all the storylines are, all that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that game. I love those games. I love sports games, and that's because every time you have a match, it's going to be different, and that's what I like about it. So yeah, I'm going to be. The plan is, whatever I'm doing, I'm going to continue my play style in Hogwarts Legacy, and then but there's going to be a point where I'm like, okay, I need to mainline the story missions so I can get this done, so I can be ready.
So you can be done in time. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm curious now, and I've never played any of those games. Is there a 2K21?
There was not. So
okay.
They had the 2K games from 2K 12 all the way to 20, and then 2K20 came out, and it was buggy, like super buggy, crashed almost all the time. I put in over 100 hours of that game, and I lost all my progress because my save file got corrupted.
Ooh.
And it's one of the, and it's so because of the backlash of 2K20, they took a year off to code
plus
better.
COVID at the time, and I'm sure they have probably slowed things down for them and all kinds of reasons.
Yeah, I think it had a lot to do with it. Was COVID, and they pushed out the game when it wasn't ready, and so it caused a lot of issues. And so they took a year off and brought back 2K22. So they had a 2-year cycle instead of a 1-year cycle, and 2K22 brought it back to what 2K wrestling games were. And it was revered as one of the best 2K games for wrestling, at least. Now they're back on the annualized version, and the 2K23 comes out here soon.
Ooh, well, I'm excited for you for that one. Yeah. I've never played any of those games. I think sports games is probably the one kind of category that I've never really got into too much. Besides, remember there's one basketball game I played on N64 for a long time, which is just crazy. Not realistic at all, but I had a lot of fun with it back then, at least. But yeah, no, that's cool. that you're looking forward to that one. That is awesome.
Yeah,
I don't think I have anything that I'm really looking forward to.
Oh, really?
I know with Hogwarts out now, Joanne is a big Hogwarts fan, and so I'll probably let her play through it and get to watch some of that, and maybe I'll play some of my own playthrough, and maybe we just buy it on one of our computers, and then both get to play some. Because it's not one that we need to play at the same time.
Yeah, there's a couple other games that are coming out. One in March, which is Resident Evil 4 remastered or remake, whatever that is, and then the other one is the Star Wars Jedi Survivor coming out in April. So I got some games that I'm looking forward to here.
Yeah, soon. I know my backlog is just so large just because I didn't really, I just like very minimal. I had like a drip of gaming coming through for like years, and it was like, oh, this game was super popular 2 years ago. I gotta play through it, and so I'm trying to catch up at least on the main.
Well, I mean, when you have a couple kids, it kind of cuts into your gaming time and your time that you want to play games. So
yeah, especially
that causes backlog to also increase.
Yeah, I also have a bad habit of every Black Friday buying a whole bunch of games, and then it takes me a year to finish, and then then we're at next Black Friday. So I still have Returnal to play. I actually still have Far Cry 6 to play.
Okay,
I do like the Far Cry games, and I know I was late to the PS5 party as well.
Wow.
I still have Elden Ring also.
With you being playing God of War on Give Me God of War, and you love that challenge, then you're gonna love Returnal because it is also. I don't think there is a difficulty setting. It's just hard, So
gotcha.
I think you would enjoy that one.
Yeah, it looks like I would really enjoy it. I've kind of made the decision that on the next few games that I play, if there is a difficulty setting, I'm going to set it on the easier side just to help me get through them a little bit faster, because I can't do the 50 plus hour games. Like what God of War is probably going to take me more than that. But I need to do some catching up.
Nice. But yeah, the last thing I have, I play Apex Legends. I've been playing that for 4 years, and I probably play that 4 or 5 nights a week for multiple hours. There's, one guy that I play with, and the only guy that I play with. If he's not available to play, then I don't play, and pretty much vice versa. And I met him in season 2 of Apex, and we're in season 16 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So back in the first few months when it came out that summer, I had met him through another person, and then so we just continued to play for the next 3.5 years, and it's crazy. Like I talked about, I flew out all the way to Brazil to meet someone that I met on the internet. He's taking a family vacation here in Cincinnati here coming up in the next couple months, so I'll finally be able to meet him.
Oh, soon. Wow, that's crazy.
And he chose to come. His wife and kids are all coming to Cincinnati. He chose to come to Cincinnati because just kind of had 2 birds with 1 stone kind of thing. So it's really cool.
That is really cool. That is awesome. Yeah. I love that we've been able to connect with so many people, across the world, across the US. And I kind of know, hey, if I ever go to this town or this state, I'm going to try to meet up with this person, right? I haven't had a chance to do anything quite like that, but it's so cool just to think of that as a possibility. So.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah. But that's about it for me.
Okay, cool. Very nice. Thank you for sharing all that. Normally at this point, we would jump into new game releases. So I'll go ahead and take us over there. This last week, we've had quite a few game releases. We have Aka R on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. We have Atomic Heart on PS5, Xbox Series S and S, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Like a Dragon Ishin, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Digimon World Next Order, Switch, and PC. Blood Bowl 3, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Company of Heroes 3 on PC. Grim Guardians Demon Purge on all consoles and PC. Clive and Wrench on PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe on Switch. And finally, Octopath Traveler 2 on PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC. So, Patrick, any of those games that came out in the last week or so that you have played yet, or that you want to play, or that you're interested in?
Yeah, there's actually a few on here that I am interested in. One of them is Atomic Heart. That is like the BioShock look, and it's on Xbox right now, and I have it on my system. I just, like I said, Hogwarts Legacy is that's my game. I need to finish that. But
and you have to be careful what you start right now too, with
I know,
with WWE coming out. So
yeah, but I heard the graphics are really, really good. But I haven't looked too much into it, but it does look like that BioShock kind of look to it. The other two are, I kind of want to see what Clive and Wrench is. Like, is that supposed to be like a Ratchet and Clank spinoff or like ripoff? Or
yeah, it almost sounds like it. I do love the Ratchet and Clank games. I actually don't know if that's related at all.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see what that one is about. And then the other one that I put on my GameFly queue is the Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, because that's like a I think it's a side-scrolling co-op up to 4-player kind of game, and so that's a game that I'll probably want to play with my son.
Ooh, yeah, that sounds like a fun one. Maybe even something Joanne and I might like as well. I know Atomic Heart, just like you, that one looked really cool to me. It did give me those BioShock vibes a little bit, and I really loved BioShock Infinite. It was probably one of my favorite games at this point, and one that I played recently just last year.
Yeah,
and then kind of in that same era where I like fell in love with Pokemon, I also really liked Digimon.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know that was a very like short phase or era for probably a lot of people, and you know that was kind of definitely one for. So I probably wouldn't play it most likely, but I'll check it out at the very least. And then yeah, Kirby sounds like a good one as well. But
yeah.
Also, we'll normally go over Game Pass games. So in the last week, only one game that's come out on Game Pass, and that is the same one we were just talking about, Atomic Heart.
Yeah.
So it's a day one release on Game Pass. So even more reason to try it and play it if you are already a Game Pass subscriber. Right. So I will definitely want to hop into that. So now that we went through new games, I do want to share with everybody where they could find us outside of the podcast if they'd like to across social media. Joanne and I do normally stream once a week on Twitch on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And you can find us there at twitch.tv/gamerparentspod. You can also check out our YouTube channel at Gamer Parents Podcast, or over on Twitter at twitter.com/gamerparentspod, or on Instagram at instagram.com/gamer_parents_podcast. And if you give us a like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is, wherever it is, we greatly appreciate it. The best place to come and hang out with us would definitely be our Discord server, where we have a lot of cool people. Patrick, I know you're in there as well, talking about life and games and food and kids and everything else that we have going on that we like to share in there. And before we move on, though, I wanted to give Patrick a chance to share where you guys could check out the Good Morning Guys podcast if you choose to. And like I said before, I would highly recommend it. They have really fun stuff to listen to. They're super funny. If you like Patrick, just wait till you see the other guys. They're a really good group of guys. So Patrick, go ahead and share.
My co-hosts are much better than me. You know, one of the guys we have on our podcast, you know, he can make you laugh in 3 words or less. That's how we introduce him. Yeah. And he's got some good comments there. But yeah, you can find us, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, social media, you name it, we're on it. Instead of naming all of the ways that you can find us, we do have one link to rule them all, as we say. It's linktree.com/thegmgpod. And on there, you can find our audio podcast. It's links to our YouTube, links to our Patreon, our merch page. Anything that you want to find is on those links on linktree.com.
All right. Well, thanks, Patrick. But that just about wraps up episode number 57. Patrick, big thanks to you for saving the day and coming in and filling an empty seat for us today. It was super awesome getting to talk to you about games. I know as a listener for your guys' podcast, it was weird having a two-way conversation with you this time instead of kind of a one-way, but I feel like I know you pretty well just from being a long-time listener over there. And it was super special for me to be able to have you on here.
Yeah, I had some fun. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, that is going to be it for this time. So we will catch you all in the next one.